So the title, oh, we got more people coming in. Awesome. All right, so the title of this webinar series is Results-Oriented Communications, as you know, and as you can see. So the idea of these webinars is to help you maximize team results by simply structuring your communications. And this webinar is all about practical ideas that you can start using today to produce better results without having to rely on group emails, threads, Excel, and project management, and the never-ending cycle of update meetings. So we're going to take away the need for all of that. That sounds good, right? You get the results you need, but without communications chaos. So I'm not going to try and convince you that results-oriented communications is a good idea. I'm guessing you wouldn't be here on this webinar unless you already thought that. I'm going to show you some practical ideas to implement results-oriented communications. Because the thing is, throughout my career, the overwhelming mindset I've come up against was that team communications don't need to be structured because structure limits freedom. But in reality, unstructured communications limit our freedom and aren't particularly effective. That's a really bad combination. Okay, so let's dive right in. So the title of this results-oriented communications webinar is Practical Ideas to Produce Better Results Without Having to Rely on Group Emails, Group Threads, Excel and project management software, and the never-ending cycle of update meetings. If we're producing better results, we're not sad about losing any of these things, are we? I mean, there has to be a better way for teams to communicate more effectively and efficiently in their pursuit of producing results. Now, who's ready for this? Let's go. So my goals for this presentation, I've got 5. First, I want to reduce the noise in your work life. Our team communications are completely out of control. I want to help you structure your communications so you can get more of your life back. Second, and as a consequence, I want to help you reduce the noise in your team's work lives so you can give them more of their lives back too. I want to empower you and your team to change. Look, we all know it ain't easy, but the benefits to your work and your life are worth it 1,000 times over. I want you to be able to make an immediate and sustainable impact on results, not in 6 months, not in a year, right away. And then, of course, I want to hear the story of your success. And if you stay until the end, I've got a really cool gift for you. I certainly don't want you to miss that. Okay, so some of you might not know who I am. My name is Doug Bell, and I've been helping leaders change for 27 years. I've worked with some of the most recognizable brands on the planet. Brands like Disney, Toyota, DaVita, AARP, ExxonMobil, Geico, DeWalt, American Red Cross, Mobil One, McDonald's, UL, United Healthcare, Career Builder, National Geographic, Paramount, and many, many more. I've worked with hundreds of others, but these are the ones you most likely will have heard of. Now, I'm not showing you this list to show off. I'm showing you that what I'm going to share with you will work anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. And yes, whereas I do go into these companies and teach them structured ways to change, I also learn a heck of a lot from them too. So what I'm going to show you includes the tips and tricks that I picked up from some of the best brands and business minds in the world. Pretty cool, right? Now, leaders and companies, they bring me in to transform operations and produce optimal results. I've done this so many times over 27 years. And the first step, it's always the same. To understand what result the team is trying to produce and how they'll measure success. Sounds simple, but if it's not clear, which often it isn't, we clarify it. But I've learned that's the most important step right there. It makes every subsequent step more purposeful. So once the result is clear, then and only then can we design and implement a process to produce the desired result consistently. What I want to do today is drastically shortcut your success story. And that's what results-oriented communications is all about. See, over the years, I've been involved with a lot of companies that have done a lot of things right. But I've also been involved with a lot of companies that have done a lot of things wrong. But today, I want to show you the things that have worked and could work for you. Cut out literally all of the wrong things. Make no mistake, I discovered these things the hard way. But today, you get a shortcut to do it the easy way. Okay, let's dive in. I'm now going to show you 10 ideas that will prove these 4 secrets. Secret number 1, you can produce better results without having to rely on group email. Group email, seriously, for mission critical information, one person sends an email out to a group of people, busy people. So everyone's getting this email at different times in different situations. Then people start responding. A conversation is brewing. You almost have to drop everything. Or it's 8 hours later. You're ready to go to sleep, but you can't stop thinking, what's going on in those emails? And then there's an attachment, an updated version in the thread, another. No way to live. Secret number 2, you can produce better results without having to rely on group threads, where you've got lots of channels to discuss supposedly different topics, but there's unavoidably overlap in the conversations, which makes it impossible to have a focused conversation that everyone can follow. And the threads, they never end. They never do they? Makes you think, where were they going in the first place? Secret 3, you can produce better results without having to rely on Excel and project management software. When my business career started in 1993, companies were managing milestones and deadlines in Excel. Amazingly, a lot of companies still do. And now project management software has enabled companies to manage a lot more information, organized by project, not by result. So you can have a successful project, hit all of the deadlines, produce all of the outputs without producing a desired result. You ever seen that one? Oh yeah, all the time. It's just not a good system for producing results. And secret number 4, you can produce better results without the never-ending cycle of update meetings. My entire career, I've worked with executives, keeping their CEOs updated. Regular meetings help us feel like we're in sync and connected, but the reality is that these weekly or monthly meetings are a blip for people who are moving 100 miles a minute. So in those 30 to 60 minutes, if you get that much time, you have to catch them up to where things stand, how your team is performing, and what you need from them to ensure success. They listen, hopefully without interruption, give you some advice and direction, and then they're on to the next meeting. The cycle never ends, never. Now, eliminating the need to use these is 100% possible. After 27 years, it's all simplified into these 10 ideas that will focus team communications on producing results. So the first thing that you can do is select a primary, excuse me, a little technical glitch here. Sorry about that. So the first thing that you can do is to select a primary channel for team communications. This will ensure your team doesn't have to spend time searching across emails, threads, and databases for information they need. When we think about team communications, we often think about the easiest way to deliver a message. Firing off a group email or thread makes sense. They're incredibly easy to send. But we're also on the receiving end of those messages. And when they're coming at you across multiple channels, keeping up with team communications takes big chunks of your workdays and can even chew up your weekends and vacations. When you think about it, it's ridiculous. Why would we do this to ourselves? Selecting a primary channel makes it a lot easier for the team to find and consume the pertinent information, making your communications so much more effective. With a primary channel selected, the next thing you can do is structure your communications to focus on results. These next 4 ideas will provide a simple structure for connecting strategy to execution that everyone can understand. Starting with your team's stakeholder list. After studying engineering and business and leaving my first job with Disney in customer data strategy, I took a job as head of strategy at a small communications firm in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. We specialized in launching and branding companies and products. It was a really busy shop. I had up to 15 active clients at a time for years, huge companies, as well as startups across industries, government, not-for-profit, education, everyone. So I've sat with many a CEO, talked with them about what was important to them, their visions. The conversations always, without exception, focused on their stakeholders, their customers, employees, strategic partners, influencers, demand drivers, and shareholders. While their company's plans and tactics were changing all the time, their stakeholders anchored their strategy. So the best way to ensure that everyone is connected and working in alignment with the CEO's strategy is through those key stakeholders. As an aside, if you ever need to know a CEO's business strategy, take a look at their company's most recent annual report. The first thing you'll see is a letter from the CEO. Let me tell you, those 2 to 3 pages of words are painstakingly crafted over many months, reviewed by everyone, and ultimately signed by the CEO. This is their message to perhaps their most important stakeholder, their bosses, their shareholders. The CEO letter will name every stakeholder that is critical to their vision for success. It's right there in black and white. They wouldn't dare leave anyone important out. But if you asked each member of your team to list those stakeholders, how different would those lists be? If you could ensure that every team communication could be focused on producing a result for the most critical stakeholders in your CEO's strategy, wouldn't you? Okay, stakeholder list, check. Next, you'll want your team's process list. This will ensure that your team has a clear picture of the initiatives for producing results for those stakeholders. So now we've got your stakeholders and your processes for producing results for them. Next, we need a clear definition of the desired results. So for each process, you can clearly define the desired result and how success is measured. This way, your team can share a clear vision for the result they are trying to produce and can focus and coordinate their efforts accordingly. From my experience, the clearer the result, the easier it is to produce. And finally, we need to define the process steps required to produce results. That will ensure that your team understands your stakeholders' path to their desired result. Every process step has both a cost to the company and a risk of failure. With a clean list of process steps, each investment has a direct and measurable return towards the production of a result for a key stakeholder. This kind of transparency provides an ultimate level of control over costs and the production of results. Now that we've got a communication structure from the CEO's strategy to the front line's execution, we need some accountability, which simply means for each process and process step, we need an individual and department accountable. This will ensure that each individual on your team knows their role and everyone else's in the plan to produce results. No one person or department can do it alone, although people do try. To produce results consistently at scale, the work needs to be cleanly distributed. Now, with a communication structure and clear accountability in place, we can now start to communicate. But it's important that we only communicate the need to know info, which means having the individuals accountable share only the most pertinent information about each step in the process. To really think about their information consumer, prioritizing their time and comprehension. This will ensure your team communications stay concise and focused on producing results, trading quantity for quality to get to the point efficiently. So how do you communicate a step in the process efficiently? Well, the most concise way might be a video of the actual step taking place. That would be pretty clear. The step may require instructions or a series of images or videos, a PowerPoint, a spreadsheet, or any kind of file or diagram to help everyone's comprehension. It's really up to the individuals accountable, but the simpler they can make the communication, the easier it will be for everyone involved. And nirvana is reached when each process step becomes so crystal clear that teams can truly work in parallel with one another, connecting each step on the most direct path to a desired result. I mean, think about how easy Uber or Lyft has made each step for you to get from A to B. Today's consumers and employees want simplicity and give their support to those who can deliver it. With each process taking shape, we now need a clear view of performance, which means just having the individuals accountable report the results of their steps in the process regularly. This will ensure that your team shares a singular view of how they are performing, both individually and as a team. After all, you produce what you measure, no doubt about that. And now, with visibility into both your team's speed and direction, you can now much more easily navigate change. By simply having the individuals and departments accountable, keep the information current. This will ensure your team can plug in at any time and get current, making staying in sync easier for everyone. For those accountable, they can communicate updates one time on the primary channel to everyone. And for everyone else, you can plug in anytime to catch up efficiently, instead of getting constantly bombarded by an unstructured barrage of information. And finally, to perfect your results-oriented communication system, you can take away choice by funneling communications to the primary channel. You can ensure that all information broadcast is connected to process steps that are connected to processes that produce desired results for the stakeholders who are critical to your CEO's strategy and your success. Or you can keep choice, keep team communications unstructured and free-flowing. Look, I know change is hard, but just remember, it doesn't cost any more to structure communications. It actually costs less. Less of your time, less of your team's time, less frustration, less confusion, and less communications chaos. So let's recap. You've just been given 10 ideas that have shown you that you can produce better results without having to rely on group emails. That you can produce better results without having to rely on group threads. That you can produce better results without having to rely on Excel and project management software. And you can produce better results without having to rely on update meetings. So which idea made you think the most? Do you have a favorite that stuck in your mind? Let me know in the chat if you would. Takeaway choice. It's a very important one, but once you realize that you can structure communications, taking away choice is actually good and better for everyone because it gives you one place to communicate all of the pertinent information. Awesome. All right, so before we finish today and go into Q&A, I just want to say that I hope you took a lot away from this session so far. But the reality is there's still one more thing that you'll need to ensure your team's communications can stay results-oriented: discipline. What I've given you is a simple framework that you can easily copy. I've used it hundreds of times to produce results for a lot of companies. But what will really set you apart is if I give you a system that makes discipline, communicating in that framework, easy day to day. Look, the best companies in the world didn't become the best by doing what everyone else did, but better. They did it by doing things differently. And the first step to results-oriented communications is choosing a primary team communications channel. That's what I want to share with you. And so I wanted to put something special together for you to help take this stuff to the next level. So let me ask you a question. If I had an easy turnkey way for you to implement results-oriented communications, how many of you would be interested? Again, let me know in the chat. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I put together a special package for the people attending this webinar to be able to get, drum roll please, a lifetime subscription to our company's software, Parallel. Are you guys okay if I take a minute to tell you a little bit more about it? Let me know in the chat. Okay, cool. Thank you. I didn't want to assume you'd be interested, so it's good to know that you are. So here's what you're going to get. A free lifetime subscription to Parallel, complete with white glove onboarding, free usage for life with unlimited users, and personalized guided assistance to get you up and running smoothly. Parallel structures communications to produce results, managing the steps of the processes to produce optimal stakeholder experiences. You can give your CEO a live stakeholder dashboard, showcasing the plan for producing results. Each initiative organized by stakeholder with a clear view of current performance against target and who is working on what. Drilling down into each process step to see accountability, performance, and the need to know information. Here's some examples by industry, just to give you an idea of how it works, and then you can customize it to your company's stakeholders and processes. It's very simple. For example, in retail, so anything with an end customer, communications, finance, the customer process might look something like this. From the moment you make them aware of your solution, they research you online, make a purchase, receive value from their purchase, and build loyalty to your solution. In professional services, consulting, it might look something like this, where your client works on a project with you, and you have to maintain the relationship to get the next project. Or in healthcare or pharma, where patients research and visit care providers and medications. Or in education, where students learn and build relationships with their teachers. Or in the public sector, where taxpayers want value for their tax dollars. Or in software, where we want our users to get as much value out of our products as possible. And as you can see, these processes by industry are focused on a primary stakeholder in each industry. So beyond these primary stakeholders, your company no doubt has other stakeholders, employees, strategic partners, influencers, demand drivers, and shareholders, just to name a few. The bottom line is that you can structure your team communications by stakeholder to provide ultimate clarity. Then, notifications make it easy to catch up when updates are made, and messaging gives everyone a voice in process improvement. But we know Parallel is not right for everyone. If you flat out just don't want to change, you feel like all the channels your team is using are effective enough, or you just aren't interested in trying new things. You can keep working through group emails, threads, Excel, project management software, and update meetings. Or you can try something different, something disruptive, and potentially game-changing that is focused on results. If that sounds like you, and that's what you want to be able to do, I only really see 3 ways that you can do it. And I've tried all 3. 1, you can structure your company's intranet to focus information on results. 2, you can structure one of your other existing channels to focus information on results. Or you can try Parallel for free. If you do, you're going to learn a system that has been painstakingly analyzed and is comprised of the best approaches from the best companies on the planet. It's really going to give you an unfair advantage. So what you're going to get is free lifetime access to Parallel, worth almost $1,200 US per year for life. You're also going to get white glove onboarding, worth $300 an hour. And you'll also get personalized guided assistance to get you up and running smoothly, also valued at $300 an hour. But look, I can tell you how great Parallel is. Of course, I'm going to say it's great. But here's what active Parallel user, BPM pioneer, and CX champion Steve Towers will tell you flat out. Working in Parallel structures team communications to optimize results. If it's the results that we're after, why waste our valuable time in communications chaos? And I've got one last special bonus, but this one I can't do for everyone. This is just for the first 10 people to grab the ring. When those 10 spots are gone, they're gone. If you're number 11, you'll get the offer that I've already described, but you won't get this. So you've got a short window to take advantage. Right. Everyone is going to get a free lifetime subscription to Parallel with unlimited users, white glove onboarding, and personalized guidance to get you up and running. But for you guys, for the first 10 people, for the fast action takers, you guys are going to get an unlimited lifetime subscription to Parallel. This starts at almost $3,600 US per year. For the first 10 people to take action, you get that for life. So if you know that you want this, you can stop waiting, you can stop listening to me. All you need to do, find the chat here. All you need to do is click the link to a landing page that is designed especially for the attendees of this webinar that I just put in the chat. Just sign up in the next 24 hours and we'll be in touch to schedule your white glove onboarding. You are going to love it. All right, let's look at the time. We've got some time left and you probably have questions, so let's answer them. You can go ahead and ask any questions you've got in the chat, or you can go ahead and click that link and start the process and be one of the first 10. So any questions anyone has, happy to answer questions. All right, cool. Yeah. How did we get here? Great question. It's actually pretty straightforward. See, all team communications used to take place in person or on conference calls back in the day. But now we need the capability to work 100% remotely. The focus of technology has been to make communications easy to create and deliver, but it's obviously gotten out of hand. Structured communications is a major evolution in team operations. All you need to do is choose structured over unstructured and stick to it. It's better for everyone. We just saw the report back in March. Microsoft just reported that meetings, emails, and chats have absolutely exploded for their Microsoft team users since the pandemic hit. They also reported that all 3, meetings, emails, and chat, were still on the rise. I mean, we have to do something different. The best part of all of this is that results-oriented communications will do exactly what it says. It'll focus communications to produce better results. It's a huge win-win opportunity. Yeah, how did we get here? It's actually, when you take a step back and you look at it over time, it is kind of obvious, but we got to do something different. Okay, other questions? All right, why are you giving this away? Well, good question. Parallel is new. Our intention behind Parallel has always been to help people produce better results. That's what we're here for. So we know that when your results go through the roof and the whole culture of your team operation changes, others will see it and you'll tell others and Parallel will go viral. So we're looking to you to be our success stories, our early success stories. Hope that answers that question. Any other questions? Okay, here's one. Do you completely remove meetings in person or remote? That's a great question. So basically, you definitely aren't going to remove all meetings. What you can think about is, when you think about Parallel, think about it as a clean line of communication that connects our actions to the results. And from there, you can determine what other meetings or communications are actually needed. So you've got your clean line of communication that focuses all of your energy and team's resources on producing a result through process. But then you might have meetings to discuss specific elements of the plan before updating your processes. So the answer is no, you probably wouldn't eliminate all of your meetings for sure. You wouldn't, you wouldn't remove all of your communications, but you will have a clean line. You'll know that if it's important and it's talking about one of our stakeholders, our customers, our employees, or any of our stakeholders, and the results that we're producing for them, it's happening in parallel. Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, we mentioned Slack. So a question about, can this be done in Slack? You can, of course, you can create channels in Slack for each of your stakeholders. You can create channels for your processes. Each process step can have a channel, but you are going to have a tough time connecting the dots, connecting the steps to a process and then to a stakeholder, but it can be done. And if you do go that route, I would just suggest that you focus on the naming conventions for your channels to help the team understand how it all connects, the big picture. You also have to be really good about deleting channels that are no longer a strategic focus, because removing dead channels reduces the noise and increases the focus. I talked earlier about how, threads never end, and that's kind of, it has to change if your communications are going to be results oriented, because we're going to be focusing on different results today than we will be in 3 months or in 6 months or a year. So that you need that flexibility to keep focusing on the results in your team strategy. Okay, we got a couple more questions here. Okay, I think I answered your question, David. Can you give a demo? I'll be happy to give a demo in detail. That'll be part of your white glove onboarding, would be to actually go through it and really apply it, learn about your business and your team and what results you're trying to produce for what stakeholders, and actually walk you through it one-on-one. So that would be the next step if you do take advantage of the offer. Question about how long the white glove onboarding takes. That's a really good question. Everyone's different, but typically 30 minutes is going to be plenty of time, so we can do a demo, get you up and running in about 30 minutes. It's pretty much after that, whatever's needed, whatever you need to be successful, but it's a simplification of everything. It's really not complicated. Okay. Okay, Microsoft Teams seemed to be the new collaboration tool. How do you see Parallel being brought into it, since most companies are already gone the MS Teams route? I do see Teams as an important tool for supplemental conversations and communications, but nowhere in Microsoft Teams can you really structure your communications to produce results, to understand exactly, who are the stakeholders, what are the processes, what are the process steps, and who's accountable for each, and what does the current state of each look like right now. It can, but similar to Slack, it's really hard to connect those dots because it just wasn't built for that. So additional team communications, coordination, discussion about specific steps, planning, those kind of things are gonna happen, in Microsoft Teams, in Slack, in Salesforce. Those communications can happen, but you'll always have your clean line of communications to look back on in parallel to really understand, again, who are those stakeholders? What processes are we using to produce results for those stakeholders? And what does each step look like right now? Because with that current view, we're able to change. We're able to evolve our current processes into a future state a lot quicker versus when you're in Microsoft Teams and those things aren't clear. You first, again, you have to put together what does it look like today so that we can then even discuss how are we going to evolve it into the future. And the world's changing so fast. The need for change is so great that it just puts a lot of delay and a lot of extra work trying to put it all back together just so you can have a conversation about a specific process. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback in the chat. Cool. Oh, here's a really good question. Will it work for producing employee experiences? It's a great question. And the answer is absolutely. Because if you think about your company's process for managing the employee journey from recruitment to retirement, or however your team looks at it, different people inside your company are responsible for different steps in that journey. So Parallel is a perfect way to bring all of those efforts together to produce a clearly defined result for your employees. And that's how you create a workplace that attracts the top talent. So it could be really effective for employee experiences as well. Other questions? Okay, who would you say Parallel is for? Okay, it's a good question. Let's say, who's that from? Sorry. So just to answer your question, who is Parallel for? It's for the people whose job it is to improve results within a company. So if you own a P&L or you're helping someone who does, you can help them streamline team communications and focus everything on producing results. This is for you. This is a way to, instead of herding cats across Excel and project management and all these different mechanisms for communications, to bring all those conversations and connect those dots. And really get a clear view so that everyone's got clear visibility in what we're trying to produce and for who. All right. Any other questions before we wrap? I hope you were able to take advantage of that offer. And I look forward, if you do, I look forward to spending a little time with you and showing you and talking about your business and showing you exactly how it can work for you. Now is the time to get started. So all you got to do is sign up. You're going to get free lifetime access to Parallel. You will get that white glove onboarding that I'll deliver personally. And you'll also get personalized support to maximize results and guidance to get up and running. And if you're one of those first 10 people, you'll get the unlimited lifetime usage of Parallel, which is a total value of almost $3,600 US per year. So just jump in the chat. You'll find that link to the right on the page and click the website to get started. All you got to do is drop your email address and click a button. So really nothing to lose. Give it a try. Really appreciate you being with me today. Again, my name is Doug Bell. I am the CEO of Parallel, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.